So now that we've got our shoulder controls in there and our back controls in there, we can do quite a lot of nice motions with the controls. It's time to actually add the arm controls. And it's very, very simple. It's very much like adding in the controls for the feet and the knees. So first off, what I'm going to say is let's make a cube, and we're going to make one box that we're going to use for both the hand and the elbow of both sides. So let's make a box. So I'm going to put this in place of the elbows first, just to get them in there. Same rule applies when you're adding in the elbows with distance from the pole vector. That's a pretty good distance, I'd say. So now we want to name these. Left elbow control and right elbow control, and then we want to freeze transformation, delete history, and I just want to take one of these, snap it to the wrist, and it is in a workable position, but what I'm going to say is freeze transformation, let's just rotate it into place so it's much more in line with the actual flow of the arm. Look in the front. Side. Oh, we should have something like that. And then we can just toggle that. So now we've got that, and just like we did with the feet, so when we've got that made, just want to freeze transformations, and you want to duplicate and take that over to the other arm, and then you want to flip -1 on X in scale, so it actually mirrors what we want it to do, and then again freeze transformation and delete history. So let's colour these two boxes. That one as well. And red for these guys. You can actually do that for these ones as well. So we know that so we know what is left and what is right. Cool. So just like we did with the foot control, I want to actually start adding attributes to this shape so that we can start adding a set driven key for the fist, fingers and thumb controls. So again, with that shape selected with elbow, oh actually you know what, we've not renamed these, so left arm control, right There you go. So yeah, so we've got this selected. So now we want to add our attributes. And we're only going to name these by the digits themselves. So that's thumb. And we want to have a -5, which will be our flex backwards, and then our maximum will be 10. That's going to be our clenching of the fist. So click add, and then we do go through and do exactly the same for all these: index, middle, ring, and pinky. There you go, one there. Yep. And you could also add different controls in here for a fist, a thumbs up, you know, whatever controls you want to have. You can put a set driven key in here for them. So let's do the same for the other side. So both controls will have these settings, and they will be -5 and +10. Lovely. So one thing we can do before we actually parent these to the IK is set up our pole vector. And remember, we actually made a rotational plane solver for this section, which is our rotation plane gimbal here. So remember, setting up a pole vector is very easy. Select our control first, and then find our IK handle, constrain pole vector, and then do the same on the other side. There was a bit of movement in there, because as you can see, the pole vector here wants to point directly at what it's being vectored towards. So there is a little bit of movement, but this can all be fixed when we actually bind our rig together. So now we've got our pole vectors in for our arms. The next step will be adding the set driven keys and parenting the hand controls to the IK, so that we can have our full range of movement.